Okay, let's get to the ones I got at the library, shall we? Get yourself a cup of something. Let's talk. All right, readers. My name is Lori, if you didn't know. This is my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, if you didn't know. And I'm back for part two of my July book haul, which are the books that I acquired from my library. This was my library where I used to live. They do a book sale each year, and it supports, obviously, the book buying and other things that the Library Foundation is able to support with them. I used to be a board member of the Library Foundation as well as a volunteer for this library. So I always try to go as much as I can. And in particular, if it supports them in some way, then I'm there. So I'm excited about these. Yes, there are a lot of them, but I'm really okay with that. So we're going to kind of do this in order of genre, I think. So first, we're going to start with a nonfiction, and this is the only nonfiction book I got there. That is Tinderbox by Robert Feisler. I think that's how you say it. He was a featured author at my book club, and I think my library guy that hosts the book club and that I really love, Richard, is maybe trying to get him to come back. But this is about the fire in a club, a gay club in New Orleans back in 1973. It was a very public event that happened. It was tragic. So many people died in that fire. But also, what was tragic as a result was that people responded badly afterwards. And in fact, the Catholic Church refused to bury them because they were gay. A number of people sent hate mail to their families and said terrible things to them. And generally speaking, this helped to, as it says, rise up the gay liberation movement. And it is the story of what happened at the Upstairs Lounge. Very dark, very difficult, but I think it is something I should read, and I may read it next year for Pride Month because that would be a great but also difficult book for me to read then. So then I picked up some historical fiction, and which I also love. This is The Light Over London by Julia Kelly. This is a book I've wanted to read for a while and didn't, so it was nice for me to be able to do that. Kara Hargraves wants to bury herself in the past rather than confront what is not working for her at the moment, and she cleans out an estate for a sale and finds the relics of a lost relationship, including a diary from World War II. And so she reads it, and then she's very, very curious about this woman. So in 1941, past timeline, Louise Keene is trapped in her village. She meets Paul Bolton, who is a flight lieutenant and a pilot, and she's enamored with him. And then, of course, he goes away and she doesn't see him again for a while. And so she wants to then do something. So she joins the Women's Auxiliary Branch of the British Army. And as bombs fall on London, she and the only other gunner performs her duties during deadly air raids. I think this would be great. Obviously, I love this cover. The Diamond Eye, which is a book I owned, but I have now put that title to go to the Little Free Library because it was a paperback and it wasn't a great condition, but this obviously is in pristine condition. I did not finish this. I do plan to finish it. It was a soft DNF for me, but this is about a woman whose name is Mila Pavlichenko, and she is trying to raise her child. We have a fly in here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's really bothering me. She's trying to raise her child, and she realizes that she can't make a living by herself without the support of her child's father. Did you see that? She realizes that she can't raise her child with the income that she has. The father has left her, and so she ends up learning how to become a sniper, and she then, of course, enlists herself into the space to be able to protect her community and her country from the Nazis. So she's known as Lady Death. She made a lot of kills, and she later met First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. So I'd love to finish this because this is based on a true character, and I hope that I would be able to finish this soon, but I had to get it in that copy because can't beat $2 for that, right? Also, by Kate Quinn, I got the Alice Network, which I didn't own before. This is a pretty good shape. Not great, but it's not in terrible shape. This one is about Charlie St. Clair in 1947. She's being thrown out by her family and is hoping that her beloved cousin Rose, who disappeared in Nazi occupied France, is actually still alive because she has no idea, and this has bothered her for so many years. So she's banished by her parents, and so she breaks free, heads to London to try to find out what happened to her cousin Rose. Meanwhile, in 1915, a year into the Great War, Eve Gardner burns to join the fight against the Germans. So she joins a group of women who are trained by someone named Lily, and Lily's code name is Alice, the Queen of Spies. And so somehow those stories are going to connect. I don't really want to know more than that, except to say that a lot of people have really enjoyed this, and I'm glad that I was able to grab that copy. Now, here we go with a little bit of a parallel experience. I've read this before, so I only bought this so that I would have it on my shelves. This is Richard Matheson's Somewhere in Time. This was made into a movie, which you may remember, with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour. One of my favorite books, one of my favorite movies, but this is about a man who's an actor in present day, whenever this was published, which was in 1980. And he is enamored with this actress that he sees from way back in the past, and he just becomes obsessed with her, and he discovers a way to travel back in time to meet her. And what happens then is beautiful and poignant, and it's just, I've loved it. This is not his first novel about time travel. He also wrote What Dreams May Come, which was also a movie that starred Robin Williams. So if you're a person who loves to read the book before the movie, or you just want to go see the movie, Richard Matheson might be somebody that would work for you. But I do love books about time travel. Back to the time travel theme, The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. I've never felt comfortable with that name, that I'm saying it right, so I'm probably not. Do tell me if I'm not. But this one is one that I have read before, but it's been a long time ago, and it was in great shape, and I decided I might want to reread this, so I grabbed it. This one came out in 2003. So I'm assuming I read it when it first came out because it was pretty popular at that time. And this one is dense. This is big. This is over 500 pages, I'm sure. Yeah, 535, 536, something like that. But this is about Henry, who is unexpectedly and unwillingly sent back into a different period of time, but then realizes that he keeps being sent into different periods of time, jumps from one to another. Nothing is stable for Henry, let's just say that. But he does find a way to continue to return to a specific person, and her name is Claire. And so Henry and Claire are connected deeply, and they continue to be connected through this time travel. So you can probably imagine that their connection is a romantic one, but a very difficult one because he doesn't stay in one place for very long. I loved this book. I loved the movie, and I really think that it's time for a reread, probably next year, not now. Then I got book 3 in the Dublin Murder Squad series by Tana French. It was also in great condition, and I have books 1 and 2 on my shelves. So I thought it would be a good idea to get book 3 because I've read none of them yet. I still want to. Now, I started book 1 years ago, and I did not finish it. So I really think that this is the year for me to go back to book 1. And then I talked about it recently too, and found the receipt from a flight that I took so many years ago when I first read it. But it'd be nice to do that. And then I'll go on to book 2, which I have, and then I'll go on to book 3. But I would really like to get to these. I don't want to know anything about this one because it might spoil what happened in the other 2. But this is also a series on television, the Dublin Murder Squad series. So if you haven't checked that out, you might want to do that too, or you could do both, as maybe I will as well. I did not watch it yet because, yeah. All right, then I grabbed this one, which I already have, but I haven't read. This is Dan Brown's Origin. This was, of course, a nice hardback as well, and I had a mass market paperback of this, and I wanted to add this because most of his I have in hardback. This came out in 2017, so this I would have to read The Lost Symbol, and another one, I think, before I get to this. But I'm really happy that I got this one and that it's in such great shape. And I really have been longing to read or reread the Da Vinci Code series with Dan Brown recently. So this might be the year that I kind of start to pick that back up. We shall see. But nevertheless, that was a collection piece for me rather than an I want to read this right away piece. And then the last two are by Harlan Coben. This one is called Promise Me. I have not read a Harlan Coben, but I have seen a series by him. So there's a lot of similarities in these. This is a similarity book haul because these are books that have been adapted in some cases, but I didn't plan it this way. It just happened. This one is about a man whose name I think is Myron. Is it Myron? Yes, it's Myron. Look at me. Holy cow. Myron has some past work as an entertainment agent, hired him to keep stars safe. So he's a person who knows how to use a gun, and he's a person who's been keeping people safe for a long time. But now I think he's not doing that anymore. However, he has these neighbors, I think they're neighbors, young girls that are graduating high school or around that age. And he tells them always, if you're ever in trouble, you ever need some support, you reach out to me. And so one night they do. They're in some bit of a pickle. And so he goes and takes one of them, I think at least, but maybe more of them home. But one of them, the next day, comes up missing, and Myron is the last person to have seen her. So Promise Me relates to the promise that he asked them to make to him, but also what is going to happen to him, I don't know, but it sounds fantastic to me, as does No Second Chance by Harlan Coben. My daughter really likes Harlan Coben, and she said I really need to read more of his, and so that's what made me pick these up. So again, this is a smaller mass market paperback, but I'm good with that. I'll probably pass it on when I'm done. But this one is about a doctor whose name is Mark Seidman, and he's in a hospital bed. He's been shot, and he's recovering from that. His wife was killed, but what's worse even still is that his 6-month-old daughter is now missing, and he wakes up from, his coma, I guess, that he was in, and a ransom note arrives, and it gives him one chance to retrieve his child. And so, of course, now with this injury and, all the things that are happening, he's going to, I'm sure, leave against medical advice and try to save his daughter. So I think that is also going to be great. Yes, a lot of these are very suspenseful, but in this case, some historical fiction too, which of course I love, and a bit of a love romantic kind of story in two cases here. So these are the last books I'm going to buy in the month of August. I think this is it. I don't think I can take any more in, but I can definitely and have definitely been purging enough to not make this an incredible barrier for me in the space that I have on these bookshelves. Let me know if you've read any of these books or any of these authors and what you think about them. If you haven't, let me know which ones of these you might want to read first if you were me and you had this stack in your house. And if you don't want to comment in any way, you could certainly add an emoji that really reminds you of one of these books. There's probably a number of them that would, and maybe that would sort of give me a clue about which one you might read, although some of them are very similar. I appreciate your support all this time, and each time you watch my video, it just makes me so very happy. If you haven't already subscribed, I would love it if you would, or like this video if you haven't, because those two things really help me to get seen by other people, and I just love all of you bookish people so very much. So I would love to wonder why that fly just flew by me, and I would love to talk to you about these books in the comments below. And as always, happy reading. Bye.